Okay. Good evening. I want to welcome everyone to the monthly board meeting for the Fountain Lake School District. And before we call our meeting to order, we're going to stand and have a pledge and a prayer. You'll join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remain standing. Father, we thank you for this time that we have together as a board and an administration. We pray that you would help us to make good decisions that are in the best interest of our staff and our students, and that you would continue to extend your hand of protection around this district as the kids come and go and our staff comes and goes every day. We thank you for your many blessings. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. And we will officially call our meeting to order. And the first thing on our agenda is the Arkansas State Elks Association Essay Contest Awards.
Have a Cobra Pride Award.
Yep.
From the middle school. Mr. Campbell, who will be representing the middle school.
Mr. Freeman.
Mr. Freeman, you want to come forward? Share with us. What do you know?
So 2 months ago, we were honored to recognize Alicia for her placing in our district the essay contest, and tonight we want to recognize the fact that her essay was forwarded on to the state level, and at the state level she ended up placing 3rd place for all 8th graders in the state of Arkansas. Recognize her for that tonight.
What was the topic of your essay?
The Bill of Rights.
Bill.
Nice. Okay.
Well, we
Let's
always
get
want to
your
get a photo, so we'll get right over here. Mr. Freeman, you want to join us?
I was actually going to suggest her parents join y'all.
Okay.
No, that's fine. Come
Come
on.
on down.
Step right in there on each side. There you go.
There you go.
Which way?
Let's get him first.
But she said no.
Too late.
We need it from. We need it
If
from.
you guys want to step over here, you can walk over here and get one. There you go. Uh-oh.
We need a copy of our church.
You go three. 1, 2, 3. Very good.
Congratulations.
Everybody get one?
Yeah.
Mr. Beard, did you want one?
I
You
think
good?
I got
Okay,
one.
very good. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right. Very nice honor.
And you are welcome to stay with us as long as you want, but we've got an agenda.
Is there another board meeting or room this size that I could conference with them?
You could take them at the conference room, visit with them right back there.
If
Yeah,
we could do that, then they could go and
Yeah.
then my daughter and I would decide whether to go or stay.
yeah, that'd be fine.
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. J, will you?
Clear them, that little room right behind us, the
Yeah.
conference room, and then go in there.
Congratulations.
Should be enough space for you to go in there.
Okay, the next item on our agenda are the consent items, which we have the minutes from our previous meetings and last month's bills. The board has had a chance to look those over. If there are no questions, we will consider them approved by unanimous consent. And we will move into the superintendent's update. First up, Ms. Curry, the elementary report.
Yes. Okay, we have a lot of stuff going on. Spring is a really busy time. We want to pull up, okay, there it is. I do just first, this is something a little new I added to the top here, but I know we always talk about student growth, but I just kind of wanted to celebrate our teacher progress. Here coming up towards the end of the year, I added some, pretty important bullet points there of just things that I want to highlight on our teachers. They have just done a phenomenal job this year. They've worked very diligent to follow all of our instructional expectations, just being consistent and all on the same page with new curriculums. They've been very intentional this year, working in their PLC teams, using student data to drive our instruction, which you can kind of see from the pictures I included there. That was our latest RTI meeting. They've had new programs, new curriculum, expectations, and all of this to, increase our student achievement. So I just wanted to just kind of brag on them and just how hard that they've worked all year. And you can see that through our average iStation point growth from September to April. So we're trending upward. We're a little over half of our goal, so really proud of our kids as well. But our instructional focus for this last month, we did have a great last round of our RTI with our teams to discuss not only their academic but their behavior needs, so we can finish our year strong. Our 3rd and 4th graders are preparing to take their Atlas assessment coming up in May, here just in a few weeks. And then in a few weeks, we will be doing the Atlas screener with K2. And so that's a new thing we're gonna do. Do have an update, kind of, I know Dorothy's been in communication with you all a little bit on our preschool. So we have applied for our ABC preschool grant for the state that would basically take over all of our classes to be a part of the Garland County Pre-K Consortium. And so we currently have one class that is under that, managed by that, and the other 2 were managed by us. So we're kind of waiting to hear back from them. Dawson would kind of manage this grant and provide all of their services. So that would just keep our preschool kind of where we need them to be. We are doing registration today and tomorrow in Safe Room A, so we've had quite a good turnout this evening. A few changes that are a little different than what we've had before is all of our preschool families would be required to submit income verification, which they normally do. And then some of them might qualify for no fee, but some still might have to qualify based on the sliding scale, and I just kind of attached that for y'all's reference there. But there are quite a bit of benefits. This funding would free up local funding from our yearly budget for us, and then that would allow Dawson to oversee all of our compliance measures. So, our mental health, pretty much similar to last month. We're running about 16% in the elementary for mental health services. Our attendance looked really good. Discipline referrals, they're trending up just a little. Kind of happens at the end of the year. And then we do have some activities happening. Pre-K and kinder registration today and tomorrow. So if you have any parents that have a 4-year-old or 5-year-old by August 1st of the next year, we're doing that in Safe Room A until 6:30 in the evening. Our 4th grade musical is this Thursday, April 18th in the auditorium. And we're gonna have our last Cobra Parent Partners meeting this Wednesday, kind of gonna look at next year's events and some of our communication that those parents wanted some feedback on. We also have Special Olympics coming up on Thursday at Lakeside, which we're gonna go to. And then our mother-son event, we're having a Dr. Wacky science show. So April's a little busy, but we're ending the year strong, so.
Thank you. Good information. Okay, let's move to the middle school report.
So at the top, you see our building level goals. Those are unchanged from last month. We are continuing to focus on our Character Strong and advisory program. We're also focusing on we're trying to decrease our discipline infractions. And our goal right now is 15% for the year used through our PBIS. And this 15% is in addition to the 49% reduction that we had last year. And then also we're working on our goal of trying to increase our math and reading proficiency by 20% on the Mastery Connect implementation, which I'll refer to that in just a little bit when we start looking at our data. As far as discipline is concerned, we had 69 referrals during the month of March, 52 minor, 17 major. If you look at that compared to last March, we had right at a 29 to 30% reduction. So we're actually trending above our 15% goal for the year right now. If you look at students receiving mental health services, those are pretty much unchanged from last month. We're running around 20 to 25% of our students receiving mental health services in the middle school. If you look at the student attendance, it's running about 92%, which is a little bit lower than we would like it to be, but we are real proud of our staff attendance, especially since we've come back from Christmas break. We've been trending, this is I think the second month in a row we've had run at 99%, so we're real proud of that. If you look at the instructional focus, we just finished our 3rd round of Mastery Connect testing, which I'll show you the data for that in just a little bit. And like the other buildings, we have Mastery Connect, Atlas testing coming up at the end of April, 1st week of May. And so we'll be getting ready for that as well. If you, also within our leadership team, we have developed a common writing rubric that we're utilizing within our building, and that's 5 through 8 to try to make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to scoring our writing that we're doing in the building. As far as upcoming activities, you'll see we have a couple of field trips that are coming up for 5th and 6th grade. And then we also have the PB basketball camp that's going to be going on. And then again, the testing, the Atlas testing, you'll see that listed right there. That's the testing that we got at the end of April, first part of May. Then we also have, coming into May, we got the Beta Carnival. And also we have a really exciting day for our 4th grade. We're going to be bringing them up to the middle school, kind of giving them a look around, kind of see what they're going to be expecting in next year when they come to middle school. And then we'll have a special open house for our incoming 5th graders this summer before school starts. We used to do that at the end of, during the month of May, but we found out that number one, not every kid in 4th grade is going to be in 5th grade next year. They may move around. Plus, during that 3-month time between May and August, kids forget everything that we said. So we have now moved that special day to where we're going to bring in the parents and talk to them about the school. We've moved that to August, so we'll be doing that then. And then when you, on the next page, you'll see the data. What you'll see is 2 bands. We're looking specifically at the grades 8th grade, and you'll see where it says quarter 1 and quarter 3. So the first one is our 8th grade language scores for the first testing, and then the next one is the 8th grade scoring for the 3rd round, which we just did. And you'll see that we have moved about 11% of our kids out of the not ready category into the emerging exemplary category, and we had a large gain in the exemplary area. So we're about halfway, we're a little bit over our goal, which is 20% for the year in language arts. If you look at the next part, which is algebra, again, you'll see we moved about 8% of our kids from the not ready yet into the exemplar and emerging area, again with a significant increase in the number of kids that are in the exemplary in the area of algebra 1. So we're trending in the correct direction, and right now we're on pace for our goal, which is ultimately 20%.
Nice, that's good data. Okay, any questions? Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Let's move to Mr. Jay's. There he is in the back.
Yeah, I'm hiding behind Hayden.
You are hiding behind Hayden.
So the month of April is always a busy month. We've got Altrusa luncheon actually at the end of March. And if you'll notice, we had 52 students who had a 4.0 that were served at that luncheon. And when our seniors get there, if they've attended the Altrusa luncheon each year, they qualified with a scholarship through Altrusa. And I highlighted those kids who received a scholarship, and they were originally going to be told that it was a $500 scholarship, but it became a $750 scholarship. So those kids walked out of there with a check in their hand for $750.
Can you confirm?
But they can.
And you can cash it.
So,
Nice.
that's something that they can put toward college or career school, whichever way they want to go.
Yeah.
The next list is our long list of activities. This Thursday night, before we get to those, this Thursday we'll highlight our top 5% graduates of Garland County. You'll see those names up there: Bethany Bashir, Elise Curtis, Caleb Herring, Laney Mungle, and Celeste Ray Garibay. Our students of the month for March are listed. Then I also put our students who have applied for delegation for the Hanwaki Sister City. They'll depart, they told me, on June 2nd. We have 4 of those kids: Ann Richardson, Kimmy Mason, Seth Boudreau, and Carly Hare. And it'll be a great experience for those kids to be able to compare schools in the States, both public and private, versus schools in Japan. And they'll see both sides of that, public and private. Then you have a list of activities that will go on for quite a while. I do want to point out, I did highlight this in there, on this Saturday is the first ever Fountain Lake chapter of Ducks Unlimited. So in the fall, we had some students who were interested in creating a Ducks Unlimited club. Got with Coach MacArthur, and he agreed to be the on-campus sponsor. And so they have been moving forward, and they have a fundraiser and banquet this Saturday in the safe room. And I don't know if Dr. Murphy, if that's any point in time you want to get into
The
that.
only thing I wanted that I would highlight on that is I did meet with freshman chairperson Lynn Peters in regards of kind of the structure of that event, bringing it to the board's attention. There will be some shotguns, there'll be some different guns that'll be raffled off. I've asked Chief Riley to be present along with Coach MacArthur as a sponsor, and so they're going to work in conjunction to ensure that everything's handled in a safe manner and that they have a great event. Hopefully raise a lot of money for that organization, but I want the board to be aware of it.
End of the month of April, we do have The Little Mermaid that Mr. Riddle and the drama department have been working on. I caught a little bit of Under the Sea as they were dancing around the room. So that's on April 26th, 27th, and the 28th. So it's a Friday night, Saturday night, and a Sunday performance. They're trying to get, it's $5 at the door. After that, senior exams will be right around the beginning of May. After that, we have their senior campus walk scheduled for May 2nd. Did I read that right? May 1st, excuse me. They'll be up on the football field 1 o'clock. At that point in time, they'll be able to take their picture. Usually they put it in the class of 24. Hopefully someone can fly a drone and get a good shot of our 24 up there. Prom May the 8th, 8 to 11. Baccalaureate, senior class voted. So we'll be on May the 5th in the auditorium at 3 p.m. Graduation following on that following Friday. During all this, we also have Atlas tests going on for our 9th and 10th graders. End of course algebra for most of our 9th graders. End of course geometry for our 9th and 10th graders. And then end of course biology for 10th graders as well. On top of AP testing that stops somewhere around the 15th or 17th of the month. That's why I said it will be a very busy month for our kids going forward. Right now, last day of school, May the 28th, and we've got semester exams scheduled for 22nd through the 28th.
Just a general, asking for a general response from the principals based on a few communication threads that we've had, knowing that we're going through roster verifications currently on the Atlas assessment, and we're aligning teachers to students for potential merit pay in the upcoming year. Our kids are taking these state assessment tests in many instances where there's not a direct alignment with the classroom grade. Is there anything you guys feel like we're doing? At one point we did some incentives. In other instances we've chosen not to. Can you kind of give me an update? Is there anything, any skin in the game for the kids on the state assessment test other than just doing their very best on that test? You guys want to respond to that? Because that was a point of discussion. I think you were talking to some other board members. We've done some incentives at one point in time. I know Mr. J did some with Magic Springs at one point in time, but I wasn't aware that we were doing significant incentives at this time. Any comments?
So we, our juniors took the ACT. So the only incentive that they got was just give me your best effort, show up. That's all I needed. I just needed you to give me your best effort. On top of that, since they were juniors, we gave them the day off on May the 3rd,
Okay.
which kind of happened just to coincide with prom.
Mm-hmm.
So,
being there and not having any problems and getting a good thumbs up report,
Yeah.
that was a trade out there.
people in the room were talking about the kids, and I would say, 98% of them did what they needed to do, sat there, they were working hard. We got the results back on Friday, so we're still trying to disseminate those results. Mr. Robinson and I have had a conversation. We're trying to work on some type of little incentives for our kids taking the Atlas test at the 9th and 10th grade level. Most of it's just based on effort. Come in, sit down, be respectful of not only yourself, but the person sitting next to you. Just give me your effort. I mean, that's all I need.
I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to comment. I know that's been a point of kind of discussion in that regard.
My whole thing was like, I mean, if I'd been in school and somebody told me I was taking a test and it didn't count as a grade, I mean, I see it personally, because I have kids that are the
Sure.
same way. But, like, I mean, I have a senior, I mean, I know we're broadcasting live, but I've got a senior that doesn't plan on going to college, so he didn't try on any of his tests. Now, a light bulb's went off, and he's got some work to catch up on because of the test that he took that didn't matter to him at the time.
Right.
So my whole thing was, can we incentivize them, you know, like I said in the thread, you know, a field day for the kids in the 9th and 10th grade, the seniors, you know, even though they're going out the door, you know,
They just took a test.
Let's
They
try
wanted
to-
try on.
yeah, I mean, let's try on everything we do till we're out the door. Even though we're a senior, we're graduating in 3 weeks, let's try and throw them a bone at the same time. That was my biggest thing. We talked about, you know, I think at one time they did candy or something, or the kids tried to get like an extra recess and
Right.
said no, but, I mean, if you want kids to take stuff serious when it really doesn't matter to them, let's incentivize them.
We do a lot of that at the elementary. I mean, we do kind of have like a little ticket system, and it's like work hard, show up on time. I can't remember the third one, and then they get like a ticket for that day, and at the end of the week, we walk them to Sonic and they get a slush.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we actually had the lower grade levels adopt a classroom. Each day they take the test, and so they might have like a little poster with some, you know, your Smarties, and then they have little Smarties that they hand out. So they kind of get a little bit of both of that, and that seems to work real well for our kids. So we've done that the last couple times. We did, prior a couple years, we had like a little, the parents come on the sidewalk, like the morning of the test with, you know, some posters and just kind of a cheering them on. But those little daily rewards for ours seem to work pretty well, and they really like the Sonic Slush on Friday, so.
And we're trying to throw out whatever carrot we can put out there for them to go for.
Well, I know, you know, as a final statement on that, as we kind of move forward into LEARNs, it's inherently different for us at a district level, just working with our principals to ensure that we're aligning classroom instruction with the individual student. Because the state assessment test that we're speaking of right now, when the results come back, they're tying that data back to those individual classroom teachers, and that's a direct correlation to what they're calling merit pay, and there'll be some summation of funding. So just aligning teachers to kids it's much different in a priority, as Mr. Campbell and I have discussed, than at any other time prior to. And so I think, you know, we want our kids to do their very best on any assessment and everything, and so I fully understand what you're saying. So I just wanted to bring that up. Any other questions regarding the building reports? Comments?
All right, let's move into the financial review.
Kind of going through the financial review, you can kind of see where our balances are at currently. I really have, getting ready, Tanya and I were talking, it's not reflected on here, but starting to get spring tax collections coming in. We got a pretty good, just almost $1 million out of Garland County here. It's not reflected in these numbers here, but we should get our spring money here coming into this month and May. So everything's trending. You know, I've spent quite a bit of time sharing a communication with the group as far as getting a projected element of surplus. We do anticipate having a slight surplus in excess of $100,000 at the conclusion of the year, based on everything that we have put in front of the board during the work session, and then also some additional work there. I'd take any questions regarding the financial update if there are any.
Is the revenue trending about like it normally does?
When you look at the different areas, yes.
Okay.
No real surprises.
Okay. Nope. You don't have any questions on that?
I think this next topic is kind of exciting. You know, I tried to coordinate an opportunity to meet, and we had some bad weather there. We were gonna take off and run over, and we had the tornado that kind of hit a piece of the village out there, and wasn't able to do that site visit, but Mr. J has been over there with me on multiple occasions, and he took his team, counselors, others over there, followed up. I've taken Mr. Landry over there, and we're looking to try to create kind of a coordinating opportunity with Saline County Technical Center in Benton as a location for a wide variety of career-based and services to be experienced by our students. To give you just a brief overview this evening, it would be eligibility for our juniors for next year and for any seniors that would want to change programs, but any seniors that have been at National Park as juniors this year would, if they liked their teacher and their program, could be a completer at National Park if they chose.
But
So-
the juniors would not have National Park as
Right,
an
we would
option.
take our juniors towards
Okay.
CTE Center there in Saline County. We're still waiting on some specifics around course offering, number of seats, but it's far enough along in the process, we definitely want the board to be aware we're exploring it, and for administrators and community to know that as well.
And this would replace what we've been doing at National Park, because as I understand, National Park has reduced their program offerings.
Yeah, I don't want to say that they've eliminated, criminal justice and other related programs that maybe were not being funded through CTE centers have shifted. There's a program at National Park that would not be at Saline County. So if we had an individual student, we don't want to sever a partnership in a singleton such as Marine application, so there's a Marine opportunity to gain certifications at National Park that does not exist at Saline County. However, at Saline County, HVAC certifications exist that don't exist over at the other center. So we're really open to managing our costs, number one, but ensuring that our students receive as many opportunities as we can. And so part of that might look like a tuition fee with a waiver from a parent that child is going to drive to National Park for the Marine program, because 3 years from now, you may only be sending a bus to Saline County.
Yeah.
So we want to remain open. We want to explore this and then kind of see where it takes us. But we have been voted in by the superintendents to be a participant. If you recall, when I first came to the area, did a lot of legwork, went down to Tyler, Texas, and we were able to put ourselves in a position for the center to be built. It had to be passed, and so we sold it to a large segment of the village about the importance that this center could bring to the area. And I feel like our participation, because we have a large portion of our district geographically that's actually much closer to that center than it is National Park. So it just depends on where people reside within the county, on proximity there. But just wanted to give everyone an update on that. And I appreciate the high school's openness to look at this, and they really do feel like there'd be some great opportunities for our kids. And Mr. Landry and I, we kind of feel very strongly in the same manner.
Good.
The other option, as far as I've already mentioned, so I won't revisit item F with Ducks Unlimited, and then just an overview of that budget. Try to work through that. We met with both PPC on certified and classified side. I've kind of conveyed to the board, I actually had an item that was looking at possibility of what we might be doing with salaries. We have kind of tabled that until we learn a little bit more about this preschool grant,
Yes.
what that flexibility holds. So, I think the link associated with the 24-25 budget update in a draft form exists for your review, and I think it's relatively accurate to provide a surplus, a slight surplus overall, even if we provide an element of step movement and $500 to the base with a 1% increase to classified style.
It's in the notes.
Yes.
Yes.
So with that, I want to turn it over at this time. Unless you have any questions or comments, I'll turn it over to Hayden, he's got a few things linked in here for review and turn over to him.
All right, the first thing is in, go off the tabs on the very bottom of the screen. So we started at 18, 19. I just updated to 24, 25, started moving some lower items for maintenance. There'll be work that's going on this summer. Up top, 1 through 8, field house renovations and the Henry Partnership Building. And just a quick update on that. The bonding permit itself has been approved. We're just waiting for ADEQ on grades. We proposed a 1-to-1 cut across that whole site. ADEQ is not in favor of a 1-to-1. Their one is to do a 3-to-1, which means, less material would come out. But at the completion of the project, we would be able to go back in with McHenry and level it back out to be the site that we want it to be.
So the 1-to-1 cut that he's speaking of, if you can remember, our master facility plan was a roadway come along the edge of our property line. So where the roadway would be on the edge of our property line on the back side is where you're alluding to
Correct.
the 1-to-1 cut. The more we can take out of the property, the more usable property we're gonna have. So
Right.
that's what we're bargaining for in the site development, so.
And when I say 1-to-1, it's not that extreme. If you're driving a bypass, you look at how they do a 1-to-1 to flat top and 1-to-1 down,
Right.
flat top.
Yeah.
That's what we were proposing. And ADQ just had some concerns with that. So our civil engineer, Daniel George, we worked with in the past with BNF Engineering, he's kind of heading the whole thing up for us. So he's in conjunction with ADQ daily trying to get that resolved. And we will have a meeting coming up here probably the next week with all three of us, and we're trying to figure out what we want to do. But we're hoping we can propose 1-to-1 and 2-to-1 cuts throughout that property.
So if the mining permit has been approved, when do we anticipate needing to get the building ordered
We're waiting for the ADQ stamp first. We gotta have both.
to get it
We
ordered?
have,
Okay,
we currently have approval and a mining permit.
Right.
Since we altered and went from a 3-to-1 slope to more of a steep incline of a slope, when you go through the bypass, very steep,
yes.
comes down there hard, we're trying to lobby to get that once an ADEQ has come into the scene, if you will, to monitor that based on how that might affect groundwater runoff.
Right.
And so in the context of erosion, they're evaluating what this does, and they're evaluating the clarity of that water in theory as it runs off into this watershed.
Right.
And so when they give us a stamp of approval, then we can come immediately to the board, because
Okay.
we feel at that point we have checked all boxes, if you will, and would be prepared for a recommendation for the board to then build the facility that would be a mechanical facility initially for equipment work, but then upon the completion of the project could be used for additional storage or locker rooms.
Right. Okay.
All right, moving on down on item number 4, Mr. Campbell, if you can click the cafeteria expansion. So we first saw this last fall, is when Dr. Mark and myself started looking at these documents with Jason Kuhn. Jason's our regional for this portion of Arkansas, kind of oversee all of Chartwell's accounts. So this is our hospital dining area. We'll scroll down one slide. This is, as you can see from these photos, the first one top left is in the serving line area. Far right is kind of where most of the work would occur. This is presented by the Ford Group. Ford Group is just a national company in the United States that does self-performed contracting, turnkey contracting, and kind of really specializes just in food service work. So we've been working with them. They came out, did some site measuring. They did 3D measuring of all our facilities in the cafeteria. And we kind of carved out that area on referencing that far right picture. You see the 2 cutouts. That's currently where Mr. Mike, his little desk is at. It's used kind of for catch-all storage. It used to be the old records room, or way back in the day, the old stage.
Right. And you actually enter it from the elementary side, so this cutout would allow you guys, you would access it from the other side.
Yeah. So there's.
You remember the stage,
She
Cindy?
said way back.
Way
then.
Before he was born.
No, I remember early on, my first.
It was still there?
it was still there,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So we're both way
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Moving down the left-hand photo, some things we did take out. You like those wood boards that, extrude out towards us. We pulled those from the final piece just to help save a little bit of money. But everything you see, the paint, the wording, lettering, the vinyl, all the graphics, where it says market, stop right there, Mr. Campbell. See the Cobra logo on the right, you look at your left where it says market, that is a cutout window. That could be a la carte sales, it could be
Yes.
smoothies, it could be ice cream, whatever we kind of desire to go there.
That would be if you're walking from the high school side towards the elementary side on the right-hand side.
This is kind of just an aerial view. With this, we do lose a little bit of prep space for our cafeteria, our charcoal staff. I met with them, and Tanya feels very easily she could hop in that space. All those items we're gonna put on gov deals and sell, that whole storage room. Mr. Campbell, right, you wanna point your mouse right next to where that a la carte is gonna be.
Just a little bit more right there. There you go.
So that whole area is currently cafeteria prep space for all their food bags in the morning for breakfast in the classroom. So we're cutting it in half, but there's just a lot of stuff in there that we can sell on gov deals that no longer use in the cafeteria.
Kind of use it as storage area.
Right. So very,
So-
very, very nice layout.
So you pulled it off of new business. What are you looking at timing wise?
Timing wise, we met with Jason Kuhn, was that last week? Last week we met Jason.
It's the first time I got to see the actual numbers.
Right. He's putting 3 more proposals together for us. One, deleting that new cutout, and doing just focus on line renovations and just flow of getting folks in and out, and still addressing some cafeteria kitchen pieces.
Mr. Campbell, go back to that aerial, let me show them the piece that we would try to save some money on where you could maybe do it.
How many additional seating are we adding to that?
So if you can pick up enough seating to cover everything that overflows the outside into the interior space if you build this piece out. However, if you take on this design of seating comparatively to the existing seating, you won't gain any seating, you will just give a different experience.
Right.
So the experience will be different, but we're not gonna pick up an extra 7,500 seats. So it really is about the layout of the cafeteria. The piece he's talking about cutting out would be this piece. You could save some money if you just did the reno here and focused on the entry line. Our kids come in right here, and they typically have to come around, enter, and come right back out the same area. This would, where the ice is at right now, that wall would open up, and so they'd come through and go in, and then come out, and then go to their seating. So they wouldn't be crossing over each other, is kind of the layout. So we've asked for him to give us a couple of different options so we can split the money up and kind of bring it back to you and say, okay, here's, and give you a chance to maybe go do a visual. We've all done a visual walkthrough. You've not been given the opportunity to go do a visual and try to visualize what we're showing you here on the renovation. And it would exhaust pretty much all of the Fund 8 money, and with everything we're trying to accomplish right now, I didn't want to put us in a project where it ran over 15%, and now you got something else pulling against Fund 3 or Fund 2.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that we can deliver it on budget. These are estimates at this point in time. So-
Out of Fund 8,
Yes, but it is out of the food service fund.
only out of Fund 8,
Yes,
correct.
yes.
So that's kind of an idea of what we think at the end of the year, we might have about 350,000 to work with in Fund 8.
Right.
And that's taking care of the freezer
Correct.
being completely purchased and installed and done, because if you remember, we had the freezer go out, so we, pretty big number coming off our food service, 50,000
Right, somewhere in that range.
And I see
for a new freezer.
line 5 is food service kitchen equipment,
Right.
about 35,000.
Yeah, part of our proposal, when we bring it back to you next month, that food service item for the kitchen, would be one item we would be making a recommendation on. Again, we're not making it tonight just because that quote is about 3 months old. We just want you to see this first. But, we're actually saving money if we do that kitchen equipment. Our whole Ansel system, our fire suppression system, is due for a complete reinstall. We've had it it's going on year 25 now, so we have to do a full rip and replace. And just the cost of that, if we drop some of our heads for Ansel systems, we can put this combi oven in, which is a phenomenal oven, does tons of stuff, and we'd save money in the long run. So, and a much needed upgrade in that kitchen.
Good.
It's like it cleans itself. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
self-cleaning, and it's got the suppression, it's got all the fire safety measures within it, and so it's state-of-the-art technologies that would give them a lot of flexibility, and we want to be able to pair that piece of equipment that would impact food and, you know, how it's prepared. We just don't want it to be about the aesthetics or getting kids to, we want you to kind of be able to kind of pick and choose how we want to expend the fund aid money. And then the final statement I'd make on that is you do have a multi-year window. If you recall, when I came to you this fall, I said that state's requiring us to spend this money. Initially, I thought we had to have it spent by June 30. They said, no, that's an unrealistic ask. You just need to present a plan. So I presented to them a plan, and we have roughly a 3 to 4 year window to exhaust the funds. So it's not like we need to make a final decision here in a 30-day window. The concern that I would have, and talking to Mr. Landry, I don't want him to leave him in a spot where he's sweating bullets. It's almost worse than the track not being completed when you're getting ready to open school without a lunchroom.
Right, yeah, you don't want that to happen.
So, you know, we
No.
need to have a functional
Yeah.
area for serving students and not trying to figure that
Right.
out because we're 2.5, 3 weeks late on a cafeteria project. Because everybody, I mean, that's our place. I mean, all of our kids go there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Hayden.
All right, moving on down, I'm just gonna highlight row number 6, or, at the gate and fencing, elementary blacktop. I moved that up to a capital improvement item. It was on this current year's list, moved it over to this summer's list as a prioritized items. I think we all like to see that done. We should talk about, do we want to do the full scale project, or do we want to do just that cantilever gate,
Right.
which come in at $13,430. Other than that, it's going to be a kind of a light summer. You know, we're kind of just, you look at the years prior, we've done a lot of work across the board. We put the campus in a pretty good spot for the 8 of our facilities. So kind of just minor tasks this summer to keep everything looking good.
Good.
And I appreciate the work on the formatting. I hope the board does as well. So you can
Yes,
see some
show
clarity as to
Which fund it's coming out
allocations.
of, yes, I like that. Okay, any questions on capital projects? Okay, BDA review.
Feel free to stop me anytime if you got a question. So I know we had a working session on this.
No questions.
No questions?
None from me. Right, Cindy, you?
Again, just a recap. You know, this is in partnership with our county, and federal level and with local schools. We'd have to, you know, file for a FEMA grant, which is kind of helping out this whole deal here. At the end of the day, we have no coverage on the inside of any of our buildings. I've attached another sheet that we will go to next that outlines all of our past/failed buildings. We failed 80% across the board. So we did have some communications go out, or communications that could transmit out and receive. We just cannot guarantee a first responder, could that be, you know, EMS, fire, police, whatever it may be, coming into our campus, guarantee a call out.
And to clarify, that's on the AWIN radio?
This is on the AWIN radios.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And when they're speccing this out, you know, it's kind of how we do our Wi-Fi projections. You take a middle school building, we can't just put one Wi-Fi AP, your access point, like we have above us here, on one floor that covers the whole building. because as far as you go down the road, down to every single classroom, that signal gets weaker and weaker and weaker. So part of this process where it's at is just because of multiple BDAs, the bidirectional amplifiers, to bring that signal in, repeat that signal to a structure that is just a federal level code, that a requirement that has to meet to guarantee a call out from a A-WIN radio. So that's why there's multiple one spec.
Right now, we have one A-WIN.
Right now, we don't have any A-WIN radios.
Okay.
We're still seeking our first one.
Gotcha.
That'll go on, that chief will have.
Yeah. I talked a lot to Chief about this, you know, we kind of did a little preview with him. I can get into so many, you know, what if scenarios, those scenarios are endless. Kind of just what he talked about, we wanted me to reassure again was just if we did have the active shooter scenario, and it's not about if, can you pull a phone out at that time and make that phone call to somebody. We should remember that phone call to somebody is one person. Well, there may be multiple agencies on the scene. So state police may not know what's going on, or it's Hot Springs County PD or Garland County PD. That's a one-way phone call. So if folks are responding, those folks don't know what's going on.
And our current protocol would be to, when that call's made, we're then trying to disseminate that information to those agencies. So that's gonna be our crisis management plan in the interim until we get, one, A-WIN radio on its hip, and then two, the completion of the communication strategy. There's gonna have to be this layer in there for communications to occur.
And we know our cell phone coverage is on campus. You know, we've worked with all our vendors, even FirstNet, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, of just trying to get them to do a microcell site on campus. And just for our location and their infrastructure to bring that onto this campus is multi-million dollars to get a site out here. Even though we offer it where they can lease our fiber lines, use
That's
our
cellular.
generators.
You're talking
That's
cellular.
cellular now.
Yeah, he's saying, yeah.
So, you know, we can't guarantee a cell phone call out in the majority of our buildings as well.
But this wouldn't help that.
This would not help our auxiliary signal at all.
No, this does not
This is
impact
strictly-
cellular,
yeah.
this is solely first responder communication.
I go back to the agenda, Mr. Campbell.
The next item down, which is cost breakdown, which is the same one that we have in the agenda.
Go one more real quick. So I reached out, this is another vendor that's making headway in Arkansas. So state police just got their contract. State police has been with Motorola for many, many years. And they came in, I say they, this is Smith Radio out of Fayetteville, and won the state police contract just because of the lower price, Kenwood versus Motorola. So they spec this out for us. I did not tell them our Motorola bid at all. I sent them our pass-fail spreadsheets that you just saw and told them to give me a bid.
So this gives you a comparative analysis bid on the entire project.
So if we waited 2 to 3 years without this grant money that we have available to us, we'd be looking at that 478 roughly. It's more of a lower bid, not Motorola, going with the Kenwood system. So we'd be looking around $478,000.
If it
we
became
don't
a
do that.
requirement.
Correct.
Yes.
And then our last work session meeting, we wanted to have a process for 2 radios that break down. And for whatever reason, Motorola, since it's a draft, went across their strings, it's not finalized, but that is a total. To have 2 A-WIN radios on campus. When I say radios, these are on the hips, so this would be one for Chief Riley. I say on his hip 24/7. And the other one would probably sit out here, Mr. Landry's office, Dr. Murphy's office. Just ear communications,
And we
that
would-
it's ever needed.
That is not a partnership cost, that's 100% on the district.
Right.
On the radio. So every radio we buy, we're buying at 100% of cost.
Yes.
So I just want to give you that information, appreciate you sharing that. Is there any other questions regarding BDA? Okay, then you got, what else you got there?
Just our security checklist, yeah, good across the board.
All right.
Good.
Mr. Campbell?
Yeah, just real quickly, one thing I wanted to share with you, the pending rules from the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education as we
go through the LEARNS Act rollout. You know, we had a few policy changes last summer tied to the LEARNS Act. And the next step in instituting the act is the department or the division designing these rules. And so you can see there that this stretches back to April or August of last year. But when you roll on down a little further, and this link is live in your notes and in your agenda, so you can look at it later. But it's school choice, it's student transfers, overnight travel, and the use of public school laboratories, which is one that's kind of drawn some interest as far as, can a male coach go into a female dressing room at halftime and talk to the team? And so they're open for public comment right now, and that deadline is week after next for those public comments. So the Student Protection Act, Educator Performance, Community Schools, the Right to Read Act. So there's just a ton of stuff that you might take some time and look at those rules, because some version of these rules will be the rules going forward. I mean, it'll be modified a little bit based on the public comment, but not a whole lot. And so I wanted to share those with you all, and it's out there as a link for anybody who's watching, because public comment means everybody can comment on those things. So I wanted to share that. And then Mr. Freeman mentioned the building-wide writing rubric, and I wanted to shout out to our English language arts and science and social studies folks. We had the entire district English language arts, science and social studies teams together last week in the during our PLC, district-wide PLC, working together on writing rubrics for all of those core courses. So that was a really good session to see our folks working together, K-12, English, science, and social studies.
Really an intentional focus on common language.
Yes.
Really good work there. Could you, between the two of you, elaborate on the task I set you to, Mr. Stage, here on a Monday, as far as schedules for next year, lunch, and the response to intervention times? You got that kind of all worked out?
Yeah,
that,
we've worked through that, finding a place to put that middle school response to intervention time so that it doesn't come during the same time as athletics. It may still come at the same time for the kids who are in PE,
right.
So that they could be served during their part of their PE time, but the athletes, we've found another way to move that to a different period. Saying that, there were some athletes who chose to stay in response to intervention rather than go work out. But we don't know how we're going to handle that as far as, voice and choice. That's what we talk about. And so there's student choice in that instance, but we'll address that when the time comes.
And then lunch, were we able to get lunch?
Yeah, I think
maybe get the
in
7th
fact,
and 8th graders back over to the high school side. Are we there yet?
I don't know that we're there yet. Y'all haven't.
I think we have a working model, a working draft, and the big key is that there's always going to, because of the way the schedule is worked out, there's always going to be a 5-minute overlap. It's just that we're moving that 5-minute overlap from the start of lunch to the end of lunch, and the reason that's key is because at the start of lunch, we got 200 kids trying to go into the cafeteria. At the end of lunch, we got about 20 kids still eating. Right. So it's a lot easier for us to have a 5-minute overlap of 20 kids rather than having a 5-minute overlap of 200 kids.
But in doing so, that allows for that 7th and 8th grade population to go through that same entry on the secondary side, get the same number of choices that's available to the other students. This year, due to a conflict in the schedule, we had to have the 7th and 8th graders go to the elementary side and then try to put those same choices on the other side, and we couldn't do the same amount of choices. So just wanted you to be aware that they're trying to get all that worked out before we get even to the end of the school.
And a byproduct of that discussion was that we discovered that pre-K could actually go down and eat lunch in the cafeteria. And
Right.
that eliminates packing their bags of food and trucking them up to the far end of the campus at about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
So,
Then we're gonna move kindergarten to 10:30.
Yeah.
So
so
instead of
we're
10.
Yeah, there were some
preschool.
good things that come out of that.
Yeah.
Good. Good work. Okay, so do we have any public comment, Mr. Campbell?
No, ma'am.
All right, moving into board member comments, I have a couple of things. One is I would like to remind and invite everybody that on Saturday, April the 27th, we will be having the retirement celebration for Dr. Murphy and his wife Ginger. It will be from 3 to 5 in Safe Room A. We'll be having some snacks and cake and some fun. So
I'm
his-
sure if,
your family will be here, and so anyway, anyone that's watching online, drop by if you want to drop by between 3 and 5 on Saturday, April 27th in Safe Room A. The other thing I have is I need to read a letter that I received from our board member Lloyd Little, and the letter reads, Ms. Greason, it is with mixed feelings that I tender my resignation from the Fountain Lake Board of Education. Due to the time restraints of my current job and demands of assisting my family, I don't feel that I can provide the necessary time required to be an effective board member. I am proud of the accomplishments the Fountain Lakes District has achieved during my tenure on the board. I would like to wish continued success to the board, the faculty, the students, and the district administration. I am proud to say that I am a Cobra. Sincerely, Lloyd Little. This was sent to me on March the 29th, and it was his intention that his resignation from the board was effective immediately. So we are tonight declaring a vacancy on the board. And the way the policy works, when we have a board vacancy, we will open that up to anyone from the public who is interested in serving on our board. The remaining board members will then interview candidates, and it is going to be our intent to do that within the next month and have someone sitting at the table for the May meeting. That is our intention. We will see if we can make that happen, but we will be putting something out on Facebook. Anybody that's watching that might be interested in serving on the board, you need to send a letter. You can either email it to me, or you can mail a letter to the school expressing your interest in being on the board, and just kind of tell us why you want to be on the board and give us your contact information. We'll get in touch with you.
or they can drop it by the district office during
Yes.
hours, Robin up front.
Yep, you can drop it by the office up here if you're on campus. So we will have a board vacancy. We do have a board vacancy, rather. And hopefully we will have that filled by the May meeting. So we are sad that Lloyd has resigned. He's been a great board member, and we have valued his input over the course of his years on the board. So we're sad that he's not going to be with us every month, but we wish him the best. And he's still our friend, so yeah, we'll still get to talk to him and see him. So, Lloyd, if you're watching, we miss you already. Those were all of the comments to other board members. Y'all have any comments? Then let's move into the new business. And since Brian is not here, Cindy, are you going to read the motions for us?
Yes, ma'am.
So, go ahead with that first motion.
So the first motion is food services. Motion to approve the 2024-2025 meal price increase of 15 cents on lunch meals and 10 cents on breakfast meals.
Okay. Do we have any comments on that? We have had a chance to look at the attached documentation justifying the meal price increase. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, so the motion is to approve the 24-25 meal price increase of 15 cents on lunch meals and 10 cents on breakfast meals. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, that motion is approved 3-0.
Next motion is motion to approve the school match portion of the AWIN BDA Communication Partnership with Garland County in the amount of $137,540.43.
Okay, we've had a lot of discussion on this, so are there any remaining items, any comments anybody wants to make before we vote? Okay, so the motion is to approve the school match portion of the AWIN BDA Communication Partnership with Garland County in the amount of $137,540.43. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same, say aye.
Aye.
That motion is defeated by a vote of 2-1. All right, next motion.
Yes, ma'am. Motion to approve the contract for dyslexia services for the 2024-2025 school year.
All right, so, I believe the board members had some questions on. Oh, I mean, we can
You
go.
want to?
The board members have some questions about the dyslexia contract, so we will have to adjourn to executive session.
We can go, Hayden, tell him we'll go to my office. He's running them out. I guess they're done.
We're looking for a place, but the board will need to adjourn to executive session to discuss this because it does have to do with personnel. And so we will excuse ourselves for a few minutes and then we will be right back with that vote. So we will adjourn for just a few minutes to discuss that. Okay, we are back from our executive session. And when we left, there was a motion, let me get back to it, so it was the motion concerning dyslexia services. We are modifying that motion to read, motion to approve the contract for dyslexia services for the 24-25 school year, not to exceed $50,000 per year. That is the modified motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, that motion is approved 3-0. All right, moving into our next one.
Yep. So we're down to personnel. Motion to terminate the employment of Jody Crumpton as a paraprofessional effective April 15th, 2024.
No discussion on that. Motion to terminate the employment of Jody Crumpton as a paraprofessional effective April 15th, 2024. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, that is approved 3-0.
Motion to accept the retirement resignations from the personnel below for the correlating positions for the upcoming 2024-2025 school year. Chastity Bryant, special education paraprofessional. Catherine Holland, elementary interventionist. Patricia Grizzard, elementary teacher. Jocelyn Mount, elementary teacher. Pam Harshfield, elementary dyslexia therapist.
Okay, that is a long list. I'm not gonna read that whole list again, but we are going to, we have a motion to accept the retirement and resignation from those personnel that Cindy just read for next year. And I'm gonna say, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, that motion is approved.
Okay.
3-0.
Motion to hire the following for the correlating positions for the upcoming 2024-2025 school year. Molly Davis, elementary teacher. Jennifer Richardson, elementary teacher. Carson Keith, elementary media specialist. Kimberly Landry, special education teacher. Sarah Weaver, special education teacher. Haley Cole, special education teacher. John Hammond, high school teacher.
Okay. So we have a motion to hire that list that Cindy just read for those positions in the 24-25 school year. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, that motion is approved 3-0.
Motion to hire the attached list of returning certified employees for the 2024-2025 school year.
And the board did have an opportunity to ask their questions in executive session on that motion also. And this will be the entire list of certified staff for next year. So all in favor of those hires, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, that motion is approved 3-0. And the last thing we have to do tonight, because normally the school board election is in May, but this year because the presidential primary was moved to March, we have to do an election of officers for this. Typically it would be for the new year, but now it's gonna be effective from now until the next May. So this, what we're doing tonight will be effective with the May meeting. And so I am gonna make a motion to elect Corey George as the board president. And you want me to just read? The board has discussed this ahead of time, so this is not a surprise to anybody, nor to Brian, who is not here tonight. So I will read off the motion to elect Corey George as board president, myself as board vice president, Cindy Herring as board secretary. Corey, you're the dispersing officer already, aren't you? Who's the dispersing?
I thought it was Brian for both.
Is Brian the dispersing officer? I don't know, because you just have an automatic stamp on the check.
I think my name's on the stamp.
Your name's on the checks?
Oh, is it?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna leave that alone so that we don't have to mess with banking information. So Corey George as dispersing officer, Brian Lambert as legislative advocate.
Yes.
Corey Stewart, his name would be there twice on the checks. But we need your
Since
name
he's
on the check
president, I
now.
would recommend that you put you as his personnel officer.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Because we had him on there as vice president, because your secretary's on there. Tanya's still here.
Yes. Her door's open.
Hey, Tanya,
Okay.
Just Murphy and George
Okay, just
is
two.
on there now, and that's okay, right? Okay,
So leave that.
Leave.
so we can leave it, Corey George will be the dispersing officer.
Gotcha.
Brian Lambert will be the legislative advocate and the ASBA delegate. Board members good with that? This will be effective with the May meeting. All in favor say aye. Aye. None opposed, that motion is approved 3-0. And with no other business to conduct, I'm going to adjourn our meeting. Thank you.